Good day, Sir Ellie and classmates. I am Fatima Joy R. Alim, and this is a continuation report of the American colonial period. At sa video na ito, we are going to discuss the summary of the Philippine-American War na naganap noong 1899 to 1902. After maganap ng Battle of Manila Bay, kung saan nagwagi ang American forces laban sa mga Espanyol, binakura ng mga Amerikano ang Intramuros para mabantayan ang mga dadaang barko na galing sa Espanya. Noong una, inakala ni President Emilio Aguinaldo na kakampi natin o kakampi ng Pilipinas ang mga Amerikano dahil nga tinulungan nila tayong makalaya laban sa mga Kastilang mananakop. Ngunit, nagsimulang magkalamat ang relasyon ng Pilipinas at Estados Unidos noong tuluyang isinara ng mga Amerikano ang Manila at hindi nila pinagbawal nila na pumasok ang mga Pilipino para gawin itong base noong August 1898. Bukod pa rito, tumaas ang tensyon sa pagitan ng Amerika at Pilipinas noong pinagsarhan or hindi hinayaang pumasok ang mga delegates ng Pilipinas sa naganap na pirmahan ng Treaty of Paris. So, after ng pirmahan sa Treaty of Paris, unti-unti nang lumalabas ang imperialistic objectives ng Amerika sa Pilipinas at nailabas ang Declaration of Benevolent Assimilation ng dating Pangulo ng Amerika na si McKinley, kung saan isinasaad niya ang kanyang mga layunin sa Pilipinas. Ngunit dahil nga may tensyon na sa pagitan ng Amerika at Pilipinas, noong January 5, 1899, naglabas ng counter-declaration or manifesto si President Emilio Aguinaldo kung saan isinasaad niya na hindi siya pumapayag sa benevolent assimilation or layunin ng Amerikano sa Pilipinas. Opisyal na nag-start ang Philippine-American War noong February 4, 1899 kung saan si U.S. Private William Grayson kasama si Private Orville Miller ay nakakita ng tatlong Pilipino na dumaan sa Blockhouse 7, Santa Mesa, Manila. During that time, ipinagbabawal nga sa mga Pilipino ang pagdaan sa Manila, kaya according sa American accounts, sumigaw si Private Grayson at dinala ng mga Pilipino na tumigil sa wikang Ingles. Ngunit, sa panahon nga niyon, hindi pala naiintindihan ng tatlong Pilipino ang wikang Ingles o ang sinabi ni Private Grayson, kaya nagpatuloy sila sa paglalakad. And ang ginawa nila Private Grayson is nagpaputok sila ng bala at dito namatay ang isang Filipino soldier na si Anastasio Felix of the Morong Battalion. Doon mismo nagsimula ang Philippine-American War. Sa event na iyon, ang pinakapunot dulo kung bakit nagsimula ang Philippine-American War na tinatawag ng mga Amerikano noon na Philippine Insurrections. According pa sa mga Amerikano, ipinapakalat nila na ang mga Pilipino raw ang nagpasimula ng gulo o nagpasimula ng magpuputok ng bala kaya't mas maraming kumampi sa panig ng mga Amerikano. During that time, tinry pa ni Aguinaldo na i-contain yung incident, ngunit dahil sa utos ni General MacArthur, ay tuloy-tuloy na at sunod-sunod na yung mga naganap na labanan mula Luzon hanggang Mindanao. However, gusto ng mga Amerikano na makipag-deal ng mga Moros diplomatically para hindi na ma-prolong pa yung madugong digmaan. Noong August 20, 1899, nilagdaan ang kasunduang tinatawag na Bates Treaty sa pagitan ng Amerikanong general na si General John C. Bates at Sultan ng Sulu na si Sultan Jamalul Kiram. Nakasaad sa kasunduang ito na babayaran ng Amerikano ang Sultan para sumailalim sa mga Amerikano. Kapalit neto, hindi papakailaman ng mga Amerikano ang pananampalataya at pamumuhay ng mga Muslim sa Sulu. Mahalaga ito para sa mga Muslim para manitiling buo ang kanilang estado dahil din ilang taon na silang nakikidigma laban sa mga Espanyol at ang gusto nilang gawin is mahalaga sa kanila na ipreserba yung kanilang relihiyon. Mga ilang taon nang makalipas, years later, may mga taong nagpatunay na maaaring naisahan lamang ng Amerikano ang Sultan ng Sulu na si Jamalul Kiram dahil sa mga maling salin or translation. Sa madaling salita, maaaring inuto lamang ng mga Amerikano ang Sultan ng Sulu sa pamamagitan ng pag-iiba ng salin mula sa orihinal na surat-su o sulat ng mga taga-Sulu. Halimbawa, sa salin ng mga Amerikano, nakasaad sa nilagdaang probisyon na isinusuko ng mga taga-Sulu ang kanilang soberanya sa Amerikano. Samantalang ang pagkakaintindi or orihinal na pagkakaintindi ng mga taga-Sulu ay bibigyan lamang sila ng proteksyon. Dahil sa maling salin na ito, ang maling salin na ito yung naging rason kung bakit nagkaroon ng tensyon sa pagitan ng mga Muslim at ng Amerikano at naging dahilan para maghari-harian ang mga Amerikano sa Mindanao. Ang isa pang naging epekto nito ay nagkaroon ng madugong digmaan kung saan namatay ang mahigit 1,000 tao sa Buddaho noong 1906 at 400 tao naman sa Budbagsak Massacre noong 1913.
Ako di ay si Kirby Carabello and ako ang mag-continue sa report sa Philippine-American War. Si Pedro Paterno, Ambrosio Renzares Bautista o Felipe Bencamino kay members sa Malolos Congress. Sila ang nag-push sa idea nga ang Philippines kay ma-fall under sa autonomy sa United States, to which Mubini opposed. I-oppose niya ang idea of Philippines nga ma-fall under sa Americans which was likely to happen po as a result of the negotiation. I-object niya ni kay he pointed out that ang Malolos Congress kay dili pa constitutional convention. O isa pa, being in the middle of the war, dapat ilahang policies kay naka-focus lang sa war policies dili sa constitutional theories. O in addition, ang other nations do not recognize the independence of the Philippines at that time. After ani, nag-resign siya from his post, and Paterno, yang kakompetensya, was elected by Aguinaldo as the new head of the cabinet, which soon to be called as the Paterno cabinet. When General Luna heard of this new cabinet and its plan for autonomy from US, nag-disagree jud siya. Iyang gi-push instead kay ang fight for total independence. Tungod sa iyang opposition, he was assassinated by his fellow patriots on June 5, 1899. A carefully planned murder which involved high-ranking officials of the past Philippine Constitution. Kanipod ang time when ang guerrilla units were formed to fight against Americans. Kaning strat kay nag-revolve siya around sa ambush good as a main form of attacks that took place sa jungles of the Philippines. So, the Battle of Tirad Pass or the Philippine Thermopylae. The retreat of Aguinaldo from Bayambang through the Cordilleran mountainous terrain began after he disbanded regular Filipino army into guerrilla units. So, si General Gregorio del Pilar, napansin niya ang advantageous terrain sa Cordilleran Mountains na pwede maging daan good for escape ni Aguinaldo. And so, he took charge sa pag-defend sa Tirad Pass against American pursuants na nagukod kay Aguinaldo. So, he sacrificed his life kapalit sa escape ni Aguinaldo. And so, Aguinaldo escaped jud. President Aguinaldo's captivity. When General Frederick Funston was deployed sa Philippines, he devised a plan for Aguinaldo's capture. Una-una, nagsuggest siya nga ang landing sa ilang troops kay near Palanan. Mag-march na sila inland padto sa camp ni Aguinaldo. Pero si Sigismundo, iyang officer, kauban niya, warned him that this may cause rokos or that paspas sila ma-detect sa tao ni Aguinaldo ug matagan og time ang sa Aguinaldo iyang troops na makasibat pod. And so si Funston, General Funston, nag-devise siya isa pa ka plan, which was to send a group of loyal Filipinos as the aid of Aguinaldo nga gi-request niya. So Funston and a few other American officers disguised as prisoners of war would accompany them. Kani nga plan ni General Funston called for disguising a small group of 80 Macabebes, Filipino tribe loyal to the Americans who also despised Aguinaldo. This granted them entry to Aguinaldo's camp. So, kanina lang ang plan kay nagsucceed jud. Kana pag-disguise na silang kaugalingon as war captives kay nakatag sa ila og way para makasulod sa camp ni Aguinaldo. Aguinaldo was then captured by General Funston and his officers, which disguised themselves as war captives. 9 days after his capture, Aguinaldo swore allegiance to the United States on April 19, 1901. So during the war, during the Philippine-American War, more than 200,000 Filipinos died, most often caused by famine and diseases. So kaning mga people kay ang naipit bitaw sa laban sa America and Filipino revolutionaries. And on July 4, 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt declared that the Philippine-American War was finally over. Pero napay local resistance na nag-continue. Kani siya kay commonly caused by groups called ladrones or kaniyang mga Filipino composed of Filipino people nga poor and uneducated who continued to harass Filipinos who accepted amnesty gikan sa United States o nag-serve na karon sa US Army. So that concludes my report sa part nako sa Philippine-American War.
Suppressed nationalism. So, after nga ng mga naganap na labanan, marami pa rin mga Pilipino ang ayaw magpasakop or ayaw sumailalim sa American rule. However, desidido ang mga Amerikano na mag-assert ng soberanya sa Pilipinas, kaya nagtatag sila ng mga tinatawag na anti-nationalist laws kung saan mapaparusahan ang mga Pilipino na magpapakita ng Philippine nationalism. Kabilang dito ang Sedition Law, Brigandage Act, Reconcentration Act, at Flag Law. Ipinasa ang Sedition Law noong November 4, 1901, kung saan papatawan ng parusang death penalty or long prison term ang sino mang mag-a-advocate ng separation from the United States. Under the Sedition Law, ipinagbabawal ang pagdidisplay ng Philippine flag, pagkanta ng national anthem, any act or play na nagpapakita ng kagustuhang makalaya sa mga Amerikano. Ang Brigandage Act naman ay naipasa noong November 12, 1903. Ito rin ay tinatawag na Ley de Bandolerismo, kung saan papatawan ng parusang death or 20 years prison ang sino mang bubuo or sasali sa mga organizations or nationalistic movement. According naman sa Reconcentration Act na naipasa noong June 1, 1903, sinibigyang kapangyarihan ng mga gobernador-general na i-reconcentrate ang mga residente na nakatira sa outlying barrios. Sinasabi doon na ang mga taong nakatira sa labas ng concentration camps o mga marked villages ay tinuturing na bandits or mga enemies ng gobyerno. Lastly, sa Flag Law Act naman of 1907, ipinagbabawal ang pagdidisplay ng Philippine flag or any other symbols na nagpapakita ng resistance against the US government. Ang lahat ng mga batas na ito, anti-nationalist laws, ay na-scrap noong 1916 following the policy of Philippinization na i-discuss ng next reporter na si Kirby.
My name is Kirby Carabello and I discuss na ko briefly lang ang Philippinization. So, Governor Francis Burton Harrison adopted a wider policy of Philippinization of the government service. So, kani siya nga kuan nga policy kay mag-replace niya ang American employees nga naa sa Philippines with Filipinos jud mismo. So kani nga kuan policy allowed hinahinay bitaw nga pagka-integrate sa Filipino sa ilang sarili nga kuan nga country. So kani murag isa pod ka paraan sa US para maghatag og hinahinay bitaw, may hinahinay nga matun-an sa Filipinos nga kung paano sa mag-stand on their own. So on August 19, 1916, the US Congress passed the Jones Law or the Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916. So Jones Law created the first fully elected legislature. This law provided the Philippines legislative powers, which led to the Philippines being granted full independence. So kaning Jones Law ang nag-pave jud og way para magkaroon og legislative powers ang Philippines or magkaroon og formal government na fully independent bitaw sa other countries. So this law provided bicameral Philippine legislature with an upper house rather with 24 members or soon to be called as Senate, and lower house with 93 members which are called the representatives, House Representatives. Moreover, there was also a Bill of Rights that safeguarded the rights of the Filipino people. So this include the right to education and many more. So on October 29th of 1916, the new legislature was inaugurated with Quezon as the president of the Senate and Osmeña as the Speaker of the House. So that concludes my part on Philippinization.
My name is Floyd N. Arandacag. Ako ang na-assign para mag-report sa Independence Mission to Self-Government. So sa year gikan 1919 to 1933, night 12 independence missions nga gipadala sa US para mag-campaign nga ma-recognize ang pagiging independent sang Pilipinas. So sa month sang November 1931, the Osrox mission, kani nga mission, ika-9 mission, named after its leaders nga si Senate President Quezon and House Speaker Osmeña. Gidala nila ang Hari-Hawes Cutting Act. So kani nga act nga gi-divide ang Philippine Congress sa duha ka two opposing camps, the antis and the pros. So ang anti nga ginaled ni Senator Quezon opposed the act because of its objectionable feature. Kumbaga, dili siya pabor sa kaning act. While the pros headed by Senator Osmeña and Speaker Rojas, suporta dun sila sa kaning kay para sa ilaha kani jud ang pinaka best nga independence measure. So the Hari-Hawes Cutting Act nag-grant sang Pilipinas sang independence after sang 12 years. Pero nagyapon reserve military and naval bases para sa US. Apil man diri ang pagkontrol sang US sa currency kag foreign affairs sa Pilipinas. Kag naay free entry ang mga American goods pasulod diri sa Pilipinas. Sa month sang December 1932, nagipadala si Quezon nga one person mission nga si Benigno Aquino para mag-adto sa Washington para mag-discuss sa iyang mga objection. Pero si Aquino napildi siya ni Osrox. So sa month sang November 1933 na nagled si Quezon sa sang ika-12 na mission para mag-secure sa isang Better Independence Act. So si President Franklin Roosevelt ipirmahan niya ang new independence measure nga ginatawag nga Tidings-McDuffie Law sa date nga March 24, 1934. So kani nga act gina-resemble ang HHC Act. Then ang Philippine Legislature i-accept man niyang nga act. Recognition of the Philippines independence and withdrawal of American sovereignty. So kani gi-refer sa gina-acknowledge na sang US ang Pilipinas nga independent country kag gina-end nila ang control nila sa country. So na-involved diri ang formal agreement nga kung diin ang US gi-accept na ang Pilipinas as a separate nation, ended its colonial rule, and ina-allow naman ang Pilipinas nga mag-govern sa ilang sarili. It should then include man diri ang treaty or agreement nga naa ang terms of independence and transition of governance. So kani gina-mark ang end of direct American involvement in the Philippines political, economic, and administrative affairs.
The Tidings-McDuffie Law provided a 10-year transition under the Covenant to the Philippines preparatory to granting absolute and complete independence on Philippines on July 4, 1946. Included in the provision were an annual quota of 15 Filipino immigrants to America, control of currency, coinage, foreign trade, and foreign relation by America, and one Filipino resident commissioner in America and an American High Commissioner in the Philippines. The law also authorized the Philippines legislature to call it constitutional convention to draft the Philippines Constitution. It is also required that the Philippine American President approve the Constitution and ratified with the people in the plebiscite. On July 30, 1934, the convention met in the session at the House of the Legislative Building in Manila. The elected officers were Claro M. Recto, President Roberto Moncionla, and Teodoro Sandico. First and second Vice President Narciso Pimentel, Secretary Narciso Jokna, Sergeant at Arms. The drafting of the Constitution lasted 6 months from July 30, 1934 to February 8, 1935. The conclusion was approved in August 1934. President Roosevelt then approved the Constitution on March 23, 1935. Then on May 14, 1935, the plebiscite for the ratification or the injection was held for the first time. Filipino women exercised their right to suffrage people and ratified the Constitution. The first The first national election under the 1935 Constitution was held on September 17, 1935. The candidates for president and vice president were Manuel L. Quezon, Sergio Osmeña. He is the Coalition Party. Aguinaldo and Raimundo Miliza, and Bishop Gregorio Aglipay and Norberto Nabong. Quezon and Osmeña were elected as president and vice president respectively by majority vote. That's
Good morning, everyone. I am Jobert Paigalan, and this morning I will be discussing to you the Commonwealth government of the Philippines during 1935 to 1946. Ano bang nasa isip niyo kapag sinasabing Commonwealth government? So, from a definition, the Commonwealth was the culmination of efforts to secure a definitive timetable for the withdrawal of American sovereignty over the Philippines. Early on, at the start of the American occupation, the United States had established local governments and with local elected town and provincial officials. So, when we say Commonwealth, it is a political community founded for the common good. Also, a group of countries or states that have political or economic connections with one another. So, Commonwealth government, ito ay ibig sabihin nito ay ang pagkakaroon ng mga leaders or pagkakaroon ng makabagong politika natin na siyang namumuno sa ating mamamayan. So, during the Commonwealth government of the Philippines, nag-arise itong Tidings McDuffie Law. In 1934, a new mission, the Kiakial Mission, made up of Quezon, Benigno Aquino Sr., and Rafael Alunan. Q stands for Quezon, Aki stands for Aquino, and Al stands for Alunan. So, itong Kiakial Mission ay binubuo ito ng tatlong tao na sina Quezon, Benigno Aquino Sr., and Rafael Alunan. Negotiated the Tidings McDuffie or the Philippine Independence Act, which set a 10-year transition period to be known as the Commonwealth of the Philippines, followed by the recognition of the independence of the Philippines by the United States. So itong Tidings McDuffie Law ay binubuo din ito ng dalawang tao na sina Millard Tidings at si John McDuffie, na ang ibig sabihin or ang kaakibat nito ay ang Philippine Independence Act. So, 1935 Constitution, ito yung timeline. So, sa July 1934, a constitutional convention was convened in Manila. It was presided over by Claro M. Recto with 202 elected Filipino delegates who decided that the constitution to be written would cover not only the transitional Commonwealth but would apply to the Republic as well. So, noong July 1934, nag-preside si Claro M. Recto together with his 202 elected Filipino delegates na mag-decide na ang Constitution ay isusulat ay ito ay transitional na sa Commonwealth. So, dinicide ni Claro M. Recto kasama ng 202 elected Filipino delegates ang pag-convene sa Manila at pag-decide sa Constitution to be written would cover not only the transitional Commonwealth. So, next, February 8, 1935, the convention finished its works and submitted it to the President of the United States, Franklin Roosevelt, for certification that its provisions complied with the Philippine Independence Act. So, sa February 8, 1935, ang convention ay natapos na at natapos nang gawin at ito ay sinabmit sa President sa US na kung saan si Franklin Roosevelt sa kanya pinasa yung convention para makuha ang certification na nagtatala doon na ang isang requirements para maging isang at makomply yung Philippine Independence Act. So next, March 25, 1935, it was certified and it was subsequently ratified by the Filipino. So, this March 25, 1935 ay na-certified na at nakuha na ang Philippine Independence Act. So, next, May 14, 1935, in a plebiscite, the Filipino people were ratifying it. The Commonwealth of the Philippines Constitution established a presidential form of government with a single legislative body. Through the National Assembly, it was able to pass laws for the Philippines known as Commonwealth Acts. So, dito sa May 14, 1935 ay na-ratify nila ng mga Filipino ang convention na ginawa nila. Sa pagkakaroon ng government ay nagkaroon sila ng single legislative body or tagapagpagawa ng batas, at ito ay tinatawag natin the National Assembly. Ang National Assembly ay nagpapasa ng mga batas sa Pilipinas na kung tawagin natin ay Commonwealth Acts. Next. 1935 Philippine General Elections. Ito na yung general election natin. So, during September 16, 1935, a million of Filipinos had trooped to the polls to elect their two highest officials, the President and Vice President. So, noong September 16, 1935 po ay ang mga Filipinos na bumoto ng dalawang pinakamataas na posisyon para mamuno sa kanilang mamamayan. Ito yung President at Vice President na kasalukuyan din natin ginagamit sa ngayon. Sa panahon na yon ay mayroong tatlong mga tao ang tumakbo. The candidates for presidency included the former President Emilio Aguinaldo. Second one is Iglesia Filipina Independiente leader Gregorio Aglipay at saka si Manuel Quezon. So tatlo sila, si Emilio Aguinaldo, Gregorio Aglipay at saka si Manuel Quezon. Senate President Manuel L. Quezon and his running mate, Senate President Pro Tempore Sergio Osmeña were elected as President and Vice President. So, ang nanalo ay si Manuel L. Quezon at saka si Sergio Osmeña. Si Sergio Osmeña ang Vice President at si Manuel L. Quezon naman ang naging President. While voters elected representatives for the new unicameral National Assembly and for local positions. At doon, ang mga voters, ang mga Filipinos ay nag-elect na din ng representatives para sa National Assembly at para sa mga lokal na positions sa kanilang mamamayan. Commonwealth Inauguration. On November 15, 1935, the new Philippine Commonwealth was inaugurated at the Legislative Building in Manila. So, ang Commonwealth na So, noong November 15, 1935, nitalaga na ang Philippine Commonwealth at ito ay nitalaga sa Legislative Building sa Manila. In order to prepare for independence, the new government implemented policies aimed at building the nation. Among them were industrialization, colonization of Mindanao, education reforms, economic growth, transportation improvements, and national defense. So, para na magkaroon tayo ng independence sa ating country ay kailangan din natin itong mga industrialization, colonization of Mindanao, education reforms, economic growth, transportation improvements, and national defense. Amendment of 1935 Constitution. So, during the 1935 Constitution, mayroong mga pagbabago. Nagkaroon na dito ang the Commission on Elections or COMELEC. A national electoral body was established in 1940 after the 1935 Constitution was amended to allow for the re-election of the President and Vice President, reinstate the Senate, and return the legislature to a bicameral legislature. On June 18, 1940, a plebiscite was held to ratify the proposed amendments. So, mayroong mga pagbabago at pinaghintulutan ng COMELEC o ang Commission on Elections ang pag-re-elect sa mga President at saka Vice President, at saka reinstate the Senate at saka ibalik yung legislature to a bicameral legislature. Next. Wait lang. So, here are some significant facts during the 1935 Constitution. The Commonwealth was meant to lay down the foundations for an independent, fully functional state. Its priorities could be seen in the first laws enacted by the new National Assembly. So, meron tayong Commonwealth Act, tatlong Commonwealth Act. Una, established the Philippine Army and a National Defense Policy. Pagkakaroon ng Philippine Army at ng National Defense Policy. Pangatlo, established the National Economic Council. Ang pagkakaroon ng ating focus sa ating ekonomiya. At last one is created the Count of Appeals. So, tatlo lang yung Commonwealth Act. First one, established the Philippine Army and the National Defense Policy. Pangalawa, established the National Economic Council. At pangatlo, created the Count of Appeals. So, take note guys. Other significant acts are here. The Women's Suffrage Act. And during this Women's Suffrage Act, it simply means like gave the women the right to vote and to run for a position in the government. So, sa panahon sa mga atong panahon sa mga Espanyol ay limitado hindi naman sa limit. Talagang ang mga babae ay walang karapatan na magtrabaho or talagang sa bahay lang sila. Tapos hindi sila makakapag sa gobyerno, makakatanggap ng mga mga tulong sa gobyerno at saka sa at sa pagboto naman ay wala din silang karapatan. So dito during the Commonwealth Government Act of the 1935 Constitution, nagkaroon na ng Women's Suffrage Act na kung saan binigyan sila ng karapatan na bumoto at tumakbo sa anumang posisyon sa gobyerno. During December 1937, proclaiming the national language of the Philippines based on Tagalog language. So, kasalukuyan at December 1937 ay confirm na ang language of the Philippines are based on Tagalog. So, Galleria Vimy Ejak 1 or the World War II threat of Japan. So, una, with war looming over the world following German aggression. So, nagkaroon tayo ng World War II, the threat of Japan. So, with war looming over the world following German aggression in Europe and the Japanese annexation of Manchuria, the National Assembly conferred emergency powers on the government. The Philippine Army was placed under the command of the United States Armed Forces Far East, or USAF, headed by Douglas MacArthur. So, Filipinos elected Quezon, Osmeña, and legislator to fill seats in the newly created bicameral Congress on November 11, 1949. War in Asia broke on December 8, 1941. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, Camp John Hay in Baguio City, Clark Air Base in Pampanga, and Nichols Field outside of Manila, triggering the start of the Asian War. So, this time, sa pagpasok ng mga Japan sa atin, ay nagkaroon na tayo ng mga digmaan at dito nagsimula sa December 8, 1941 ng pagbomba ng mga Japanese at sa Pearl Harbor, sa Camp J. Hay sa Baguio, sa Clark A. Base na makikita sa Pampanga at sa Nichols Field na outside of Manila. The National Assembly kasi yung nagkaroon ng power sa government na kung saan ang mga Filipino ay mapabilang sa Philippine Army Commander na under sila sa Philippine Army na tinatawag na USAF or the United States Armed Forces for Far East, na ito ay pinamunuan ni Douglas MacArthur. So ang mga Filipinos ay ni-re-elect nila sina Quezon at Osmeña, din ang mga legislator para i-fill in ang bicameral ay para maging leader nila para maging leader nila at magkaroon sila ng newly created bicameral Congress noong November 11, 1941. On December 24, 1941, President Quezon and his war cabinet evacuated to the island stronghold of Corregidor in Manila Bay, and 2 months later left for Australia, en route to the safety of the United States. The Commonwealth government continued to function in exile, gaining recognition from the world community as a member of the United Nations. President Quezon continued to represent the Commonwealth of the Philippines in Washington, D.C. During this exile, Quezon became ill with tuberculosis and later he died of it. Osmeña replaced him as the president. So, during the time na i-present ni President Quezon, ni Manuel Quezon ang Commonwealth sa Philippines sa Washington, ay nagkaroon siya ng sakit, or ang sakit na yun ay tinatawag na tuberculosis or TB. At saka nung namatay siya ay pinalitan siya ni Sergio Osmeña as president. Osmeña gave his inaugural address in Washington, D.C., making him the only Philippine president thus far to deliver an inaugural address outside the Philippines. So, nag-speech siya at sa mga nagbigay siya ng inaugural address niya sa Washington, D.C. At siya yung siya lang yung Philippine president na deliver ng kanyang speech outside of the Philippines. Manila was declared an open city to prevent its destruction on December 26, 1941, and it was occupied by Japanese on January 2, 1942. When General Douglas MacArthur left the Philippines to escape to Australia on March 1942, he left General Jonathan Wainwright. So, nilisan nila General Douglas MacArthur ang Pilipinas para makatakas at pumunta sila sa Australia noong March 1942. At iniwan niya doon ang kanyang kasama na si General Jonathan Wainwright para mag-command sa Philippine Army. General Wainwright took his command on the island of Corregidor and placed Major General Edward P. King in command the troops of Bataan. So, iniwan si General Jonathan Wainwright doon sa Pilipinas para mag-command sa island of Corregidor at ginawa niya ding commander si General Edward P. King para i-command ang kanyang pulutong doon sa Bataan. So, the fall of Bataan. On April 3, 1942, Japanese attacked American and Filipino troops in Bataan. So, during this April 3, 1942, inatake ng mga Japanese ang mga Amerikano at mga Pilipinong pulutong doon sa Bataan. While in exile, MacArthur ordered a general counterattack against the Japanese. The commanding officer on Luzon, Major General Edward King, ignored this ridiculous order to avoid further destruction. Trusting to the mercy of the Japanese, he surrendered his troops on April 9, 1942. So, ayun nga, ginawa si General Edward King na mag-command sa Philippine Army, ngunit dahil sa pagbibigay ng katapatan at awa sa mga Japanese, gisurrender niya ang iyahang pulutong noong April 9, 1994. Infuriated by the lengthy American resistance on Bataan and the heavy losses they had suffered themselves, the Japanese vented their rage on their sick and exhausted prisoners of war, whom they subjected and the atrocities of the Bataan Death March and the harsh conditions of Japanese health camps. So, dito na nagsimula yung Bataan Death March. The Bataan Death March was a nagkapalitan yung definition ng the fall of Bataan at saka the fall of Corregidor. So, dito sa the fall of Bataan, ito dapat ang the fall of Bataan sa during the fall of Bataan, the Bataan Death March, sana yan, nagkapalitan. Sorry. So, dito banda, ito yung definition ng the fall of Bataan. The Bataan Death March was a 60-mile or 96.56 kilometer forced march under blazing sun without food and water of American and Filipino prisoners of war by Japanese forces during World War II. So, dito sa nagawang Bataan Death March ay sila ay nagmamarch sa loob ng 60 miles o mahigit kumulang 96.56 kilometer. Sila ay nagmamarch sa katirik-tirikan ng araw, sa init ng araw at nawalang pagkain at tubig ang mga Amerikano at Pilipinong mga nakakulong during this World War II. At thousands of troops died because of this brutality of their captors, who starved and beat the marchers and bayoneted those too weak to walk. So, ito na yung the fall of Corregidor. So, the fall of Corregidor, after the fall of Bataan, The Imperial Japanese Army then concentrated on the island of Corregidor. Lieutenant General Jonathan Wainwright refused to surrender. The island was relentlessly pummeled by Imperial Japanese artillery for several weeks. So nagkaroon ng 7,000 taken in fall of 7,000 American Filipino troops in fall of Corregidor. The island was surrounded and cut off from receiving any reinforcement and supplies from the United States. Food, water, and ammunition had dropped to critical levels. On the night of May 5, the Imperial Japanese landed troops and tanks. They quickly began advancing toward Malinta Tunnel where there were thousands of patients and nurses. So, sa gabi ng Mayo 5, ang Imperial Japanese ay dumating na ang kanilang mga pulutong at mga tangke de gera para masimulan na nila ang sa Malinta Tunnel na kung saan ang dami-daming thousands or daming mga pasyente doon at mga nurses. To avoid the massacre, Wainwright was forced to surrender the troops on Corregidor and the other 3 fortified islands, but General Masahara Homa refused Wainwright's offer to surrender. So dito sa the fall of Corregidor ay nag-surrender na yung troops ni Wainwright na kung saan ito si General Wainwright, siya yung ginawang commandant ng plutong nang lumisan si Douglas MacArthur papuntang Australia. So si Wainwright ay nag-surrender na dito sa Corregidor, ngunit si General Masahara Homa ng Japanese ay hindi niya tinanggap ang pag-surrender ng pulutong ni Wainwright. So General Homa warned Wainwright during surrender negotiations that he would execute all prisoners of war unless the surrender applied not only to Corregidor but to all American and Philippine troops still resisting the Japanese on other islands of the Philippine archipelago. So ang gusto pala ni General Homa ay hindi lang dapat sa Corregidor mag-surrender ang mga American at Filipino troops. Ang gusto niya ay lahat-lahat sa Corregidor, sa Bataan at lahat na nasa sakupan ng Amerikano at Filipinong mga army ay isurrender na nila. So yun ang gusto ni General Homa. The American Filipino troops on the outer islands were getting conflicting messages from General Douglas MacArthur. MacArthur did not want these islands to surrender but wanted Sharp to create guerrilla units and hide in the hills. Finally, Colonel Treywick, Wainwright's emissary, reached General Sharp to express the severity of the situation, where eventually the U.S. commanders on the Visayan Islands, Mindanao, and Cebu surrendered. So, nag-surrender na ang Visayan Islands, Mindanao, at saka Cebu. Nag-surrender na yung mga U.S. commanders natin na sila Wainwright, si Edward King, at iba pa. Wait. So, during the World War II, meanwhile, the Japanese military organized a new government in the Philippines known as the Second Philippine Republic. So, yun, nag-surrender na yung mga US commanders natin. At dito, nag-organize na ang Japanese military ng makabagong gobyerno na tinatawag nating Second Philippine Republic, which headed by President Jose P. Laurel. Excuse. Dito sa Second Philippine Republic by the Japanese, ito ay pinanguluhan ni Jose P. Laurel. This government ended up being very unpopular. The resistance to the Japanese occupation continued in the Philippines. This included the Hukbalahap's, which simply means People's Army Against the Japanese, which consisted of 30,000 armed people and controlled much of Central Luzon. Remnants of the Philippine Army also fought to the Japanese through guerrilla warfare, and it was successful since all but 12 of the 48 provinces were liberated. The American General Douglas MacArthur's army landed on Leyte on October 20, 1944, and they were all welcomed as liberators, along with Philippine Commonwealth troops when other amphibious landings soon followed. Fighting continued in remote corners of the Philippines until Japan's surrender in August 1945, which was signed on September 2 in Tokyo Bay. So, surrender na yung mga Americans sa mga Japanese noong August 1945 at ito ay nilagdaan na noong September 2 sa Tokyo Bay. So, restoration of the Commonwealth of the Philippines. After the war in the Philippines, the Philippine Commonwealth was restored. So, Restored na ang Philippine Commonwealth natin. On April 23, 1946, the first post-war election was held, in which Manuel Rojas and Elpidio Quirino were elected President and Vice President. So sa kasalukuyang pag-restore ng Commonwealth of the Philippines ay noong April 23, 1946 ay nagkaroon ng eleksyon at sa eleksyong iyon ay nahirang si Manuel Rojas as President at si Elpidio Quirino naman ang naging Vice President. Rojas took his oath of office on May 28, 1946 as the third and last President of the Commonwealth of the Philippines in front of the ruins of the Legislative in Manila. So in front of the collapsed Legislative Building in Manila, Rojas took the oath of office on May 28, 1946, becoming the third and final President of the Commonwealth of the Philippines. As a result of the Philippine Independence Act, the Commonwealth of the Philippines changed its name to Republic of the Philippines, or the Third Republic in the ensuing weeks. So, nahirang na sila Manuel Rojas at saka si Elpidio Quirino as President and Vice President during the post-war election. So, during this May 28, 1946, ay nanumpa si Manuel Rojas sa harap ng natumbang Legislative Building ng Manila, or giba ng Legislative Building ng Manila, na kung saan siya ang pangatlo at last na president na sa ating Commonwealth of the Philippines as a result of the Philippine Independence Act. So sa dating Commonwealth of the Philippines ay pinalitan na itong the Republic of the Philippines na kasalukuyan natin ginagamit, or tinatawag na Third Republic. Dahil yung Second Republic is more Japanese at yung Third Republic ay ito na yung Republic of the Philippines. Thus, on July 4, 1946, Rojas would again take his oath as president, this time as president of the newly inaugurated Independent Republic of the Philippines. So, para klaro sa lahat, noong May 28, 1946, nanumpa si Manuel Rojas sa harap ng natumba at na-collapse na Legislative Building na Manila. Pero, iyon ay panunumpa lamang as the third at last President of the Commonwealth of the Philippines. At during this July 4, 1946, nanumpa na naman siya na kung saan siya ay magiging presidente sa makabagong tawag natin sa Commonwealth of the Philippines na tinatawag nating Republic of the Philippines. Sa summarization para klaro lang sa lahat, May 28, 1946, nanumpa si Rojas para sa Commonwealth of the Philippines. At sa July 4, 1946, ay nanumpa na naman siya ulit para maging presidente sa Republic of the Philippines na kung saan ay independent na. So ayun nga, sa kanila, in spite of the years of Japanese occupation, the Philippines became independent exactly as scheduled a decade before on July 4, 1946. So, ayon sa ang exact talaga na is, ang Philippine Independency talaga ay nakaschedule sa July 4, 1946. Para klaro sa lahat, July 4, 1946 ang pagka-independent nila at tinawag na din silang Republic of the Philippines. So, ano nga ba ang mga naging epekto ng Commonwealth Government of the Philippines, or tinatawag na natin ngayong Republic of the Philippines? So, isa-isahin natin. Achievements of the Commonwealth Government. Una, establishing new offices and recognizing the government. So, dito na papasok yung Department of National Defense, Institution of National Language, National Council of Education. The Philippinization of judiciary from the Supreme Court down to the Municipal Court and establish of two courts. Ang first court natin is Court of Appeals at saka Court of Industrial Relations. So, pangalawa is allowing women to vote. So, ito na yung kanina na sinabi kong Women's Suffrage Act, o pagbibigay ng karapatang bumoto ng mga kababaihan at karapatan ding tumakbo sa anumang posisyon sa gobyerno. Pangatlo, establishing cities with charters. So, dito sa establishing cities with charters ay napabilang dito yung mga city ng unang-una, Cebu, Iloilo, Bacolod, Davao, Zamboanga, San Pablo, Quezon City, Cavite, at saka Tagaytay. Pang-apat, the adaptation of Tagalog as the national language. Yung sinabi ko na isa sa mga significance acts natin kanina na ang pag-proclaim na ang national language natin ay Tagalog na. So, panglima, promotion of social justice the advancement of social justice or the promotion of social justice. Ito yung 8-hour Labor Act and appointment of government lawyers. Pang-anim, the mandatory military training for young Filipinos. Ito yung naging compulsory na sa bansa na magkakaroon ng military training para sa mga kabataang Pilipino under sa supervision ni General Douglas MacArthur. Pang-pito, the Philippine economy is getting better. So, naging sa pagkakaroon ng Commonwealth government or tinatawag nating Republic of the Philippines na ngayon, and naging maayos din ang ating ekonomiya sa aspekto ng agriculture, tumaas na ang pag-develop ng agriculture, commerce at saka industry. Pang-walo, establishing a joint committee for preparation regarding Philippine affairs. Or ito yung Joint Preparatory Committee on Philippine Affairs or GPCPA recommended the granting of Philippine independence on July 4, 1946, an extension of Philippine-American preferential trade to December 31 to 1960. So last one is, magkakaroon natin ng 3 amendments to the 1935 Constitution were passed. So ito yung mga amendments, 3 amendments. First one, the tenure of the office of the President and Vice President was 4 years with re-election for another term. So magkakaroon tayo ng 4 na taon para mag-re-elect at tayo ng panibagong mga leaders. Pangalawa, the establishment of the Bicameral Congress of the Philippines. Pangatlo, the creation of an independent commission on election or COMELEC to supervise all elections. So ito'y galing kay Zay 2010, sa librong Zay 2010, page 312 to 320. So, ayan ang 3 amendments. Huwag kalimutan na ang una, ang time limits or ang 4 na taon after ng 4 na taon ay magkakaroon na ng re-elections para sa panibagong termino na naman at panibagong leader. Pangalawa ay pag-establish sa Bicameral Congress of the Philippines. Pangatlo ay ang paggawa ng Independent Commission on Election or pagkakaroon natin ng COMELEC na kung saan sila yung mag-supervise, sila yung mag-handle sa bawat election dito sa ating Pilipinas. So, that's for today. Thank you, and once again, I am Jobert Paigalan, and see you. Thank you.